Hello, we're live. Welcome to Golden Creatives Talk. This is the podcast where we shine a light on the incredible journeys and insights of Black and Brown women creatives. I'm your host, CT Luna. You can also call me Cynthia. And today we have a really special guest joining us, Charish Reid. Charish Reid is a fan of sexy books and disaster films, and when she's not grading papers or prepping lessons for college freshmen, she enjoys writing romances that celebrate quirky Black women who deserve HEAs, happily ever afters. Today, we're going to dive into your fascinating journey as a romance author, Ms. Charish, your experiences navigating the publishing world, and of course, we'll be talking a little about your book, Jewel Me Twice, but more importantly, your newly released book that you released on Tuesday. And last, we're going to talk a little about what it's like to be a Black author living abroad and how that influences your storytelling.
Yeah.
So, Charish, welcome to Golden Creatives Talk. It's an
Thank you
absolute
for
pleasure
having
to have
me.
you here. Yes. Okay, so let's start with Sweden.
Yep.
I think folks would be really interested in hearing a little bit more about you, where you're from, where you live, and how'd you end up in Sweden?
Girl. So my husband and I moved out here in 2018 for his profession. He's a university professor who
It was love.
specializes in rhetoric. And
Mhm.
the job opportunity came by way of a friend who sent him the job ad and said, oh, why not? Uh, it took us a while to go through all of the fine print and apply and etc. But he got the job, and we've been here since. He teaches at the university, um, rhetoric. I came out here with him, obviously,
Mhm.
and I started off teaching. I'm also an educator, an adjunct in rhetoric, but I came out here with the express purpose of like stopping teaching and just
Okay.
dive right into the writing that I wanted to do. But they asked me, would you like to teach a couple of classes? I was like, ooh, yeah, I'll do it. And um and it turned
Begrudgingly.
out to be, yeah, if you want me, like, and it turned out to be a really good teaching experience. The students were really receptive to what I had to give them. The class was American society and culture. And
Oh.
so, and that was taught through literature. So that was like way up my alley. And it was
Mhm.
really cool and fascinating to see how Swedish students who they were training to be educators themselves, how they were able to interpret a lot of American literature, pop culture, history, that sort of stuff. And this is all coming from a Black woman
Mhm.
teaching them. So, I mean, I have my own perspective and lens that I filtered through them.
Mhm.
And I think we all had a great time, I think.
Well, you say had. You're not done, right? Or are you now teaching different types of content?
I stopped teaching in 2020. Like, I turned in those grades and I was like, I'm done adjuncting. I'm going to write full time. And yeah, that was
Yes.
right as the pandemic. I mean, this was in January when I dropped the grades off, and then I was like, I'm
Uh-huh.
doing this. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, oh, I am doing this. So,
I am serious as a heart attack.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Wow, I did not know this. Somehow I just thought that you were still teaching. And so you are writing full time.
I need to update that bio. Like, that is still on book.
Well, I'm releasing a book in like 2 weeks, and I still have to write the acknowledgments. I'm still having to write. I'm still kind of tweaking the blurb. So yeah, that's real. So okay, this actually transitions us really nicely into where are you from in the States before we get to my next question?
So the last place that my husband and I lived was Toledo, Ohio.
Oh,
That's where
okay.
he was teaching. But honestly, he and I are really from all over. Like,
Uh-huh.
I moved around a lot as a kid. He moved around quite a bit as a kid. And I think the heart of us were both Midwesterners, where we met and married in Illinois.
Uh-huh.
So Illinois is kind of like my home base. I was born in Arkansas, Little Rock. So I have a storied living. I've
Yeah,
been all
journey.
over the United States. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, I call that a curly journey. And actually, usually my hair is curly. I just had it blown out earlier this week, but it's going to go back to curly
Lovely.
tomorrow. Okay, so okay, both you and I have. Gosh, now I'm feeling like we're having parallel lives, and I should have like found out so much
Oh,
more about you before before having this interview. Okay, so we're both writers.
yes.
Let's talk about the trials, the tribulations, the triumphs about writing, especially now that I know that you've gone 100% into writing.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to kind of like break out some of the questions. So I think we'll just start about like what got you in. So I'll cover the writing, the publishing, promotion, especially now that you're 100% in that world. Let's just start with the writing part. Like
Yeah.
what what got you into writing, and specifically, what is it about contemporary romance that turns you on as a
Yeah.
storyteller?
Um, I feel like I've said this more than once, but like I wish I could say I was one of those people who's like, I've been a writer since I was 7. Um, that is not the case. I was not even a great reader when I was a small child. My grades were terrible. I think when I was maybe a teen, I was obsessed with the idea of writing in a very romantic way.
Uh-huh,
Like sitting with a type I did get a
uh-huh.
typewriter. That didn't land very well because like we need ribbons and my mom was like, we don't have ribbon money. Where am I gonna find a ribbon? Um, but I was like very romantic with the idea. And when I was maybe in my teens, I wrote a lot of fan fiction. Um, I wanted to make everybody kiss in the movies,
Mhm,
uh, and I wrote a couple of really bad books when I was younger, like back in the day where you had to send out a self-addressed stamped envelope with a
mhm,
manuscript and hope that somebody got back to you. And I got, thankfully, I got a lot of rejection letters early on that they didn't have to send them.
mhm.
But these were terrible books that I wrote, like, at age, I don't know, 18 or 19, and I thought for sure, like, "Oh my god, the big 5, they want this."
Mhm.
Um, and then as I got into college, I think I simmered down a little bit. I explored more, different types of writing styles. I was a poet for a while, obsessed with poetry. Um, Essays, I wrote a lot of essays because I felt like I had a lot of important thoughts that needed to
Yeah,
be expressed
absolutely.
in my early 20s, like, "Oh my god, I'm so smart, and why why aren't these professors getting it?" Um,
Oh,
I wrote
I love you, Cherish.
I wrote a lot of travelogues, like, about the most mundane places, going to Peoria.
Mhm,
Um, I wanted to make everything so romantic, like, in a very um sweeping way, like
mhm,
grandeur and stuff. And I was convinced that if I didn't write and sell a book by age 25 and get invited to the Oprah show and get the big giant sticker on my book, like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die if this doesn't
Mhm.
happen." Obviously, I'm 41 now and I've matured slightly. All of that is to say is that I've always been writing, and I've always I mean, I did a blog where I was interviewing writers such as yourself.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, if I can't write a book right now, I want to talk to people who are writing books. And the last author that I talked to basically told me like, stop talking about it and just do it. And I was like, okay, that's harsh. And I took her advice. I stopped talking about it and just sat down and did it. My friend and I, we put our heads together and said we're gonna start writing for NaNoWriMo in 2017, and we did. We completed it. Mistake. Don't do NaNoWriMo if you like want a polished book.
Mhm.
It took me a full year to edit what I wrote, and
Mhm.
then by the time we got out here in 2018, I felt comfortable. Like I'd really like to go ahead and put this on the market, start querying.
Mhm.
And 2019 is when my first book, The Right Escape, came out. Um, and that was a really special thing. And it basically came from an author yelling at me saying, like, stop pussyfooting around.
Right. Like, shit or get off the pot. Pardon me. I just cursed
Yeah.
on
I
live
mean,
stream.
oh, but pretty much, yeah. And I needed that because there's only so much romance that you can have in your head before it spills out, and you stories are great, but you have to tell them to people, you know?
Yeah. Gosh, more on the parallel lives thing. So thank you for telling my story so eloquently for me. So we can go on to the next question.
Are
Um,
we best friends now?
practically. In fact, you're probably just living my best life in Sweden. So,
We'll
okay,
see.
so you did the whole NaNoWriMo thing. I tried to do it, but I got to tell you, like, I just do so much writing in my real life for my regular job that like I crashed and burned and hard. And in fact, it took me about 3 months or so to kind of like just get that crash and burn,
Uh,
charred taste out of my system so that I could actually approach a blank page all over again.
yeah.
So that brings me to the topic of process and writing process. It sounds like you started out just kind of like flinging yourself at the blank page. And then NaNoWriMo was probably like the final fling. And now, do you have a process or are you still kind of hoping for the best?
I honestly that's a good question, and I feel like authors get that often, but I rarely sit down and think about, like, the process and, how to verbalize it. NaNoWriMo was a mistake for me because I think after the second book I wrote, I realized, oh, I'm an adult with ADHD.
Oh.
Um, and so that kind of colored how I have viewed my way of working, like labor in general, throughout my entire life.
Hmm.
That kind of set me back and made me think, like, all right, you can't do NaNoWriMo again. Like that's kind of marred your idea of like, hurry up and write something for the glory of it. Um, After that, I said I've got to write in my own at my own speed.
Hmm.
Like sometimes you actually need to sit with this draft and be mindful, cognizant of what you're doing, and sometimes that might take a little longer. And then as I got more books under my belt, I realized, okay, well, the process that worked for the last book is maybe not going to work for this one. I wish I could have the same process for writing, but I was talking to my friend about this yesterday, but you know how your parents say, like, we raised all of you the same way? And you know, as a kid, that's a lie. Like, and it is, your parents don't realize it, but you know, they had each of you at different stages of their life, different socio-political, economic things were happening to them. You might have a different temperament than your sibling, and so that
Mhm,
makes your parents react to you in a different way. You'd like to say that you write each book the same way. I did not write my latest book the same way I wrote the last one.
mhm.
Um, so many things were just happening in my life, um, from one year to the next, from one book to the next. That might not be helpful for your listeners.
Uh,
That it
yeah.
might not be clear cut, but I have to say I'm still sorting out my process as a writer because it changes from book to book and the needs of that book.
And maybe there is no process. I mean, I have done the pantsing thing. Actually,
Yeah.
I would say that's how I got my start.
Yep.
Um, Purely pantsing, and it works for short form.
Yeah.
It does not work for long form. Um,
No.
for long form, it just results in something which could have something there, but like you were describing for your first book, you ended up spending an entire year of, unraveling all the threads to
Yep.
re-ravel them into like an actual story before you actually had a product there.
That's
Um,
before I queried. When I got with a editor, then
right.
she
Unraveled your story.
yeah. So there's a lot of
Okay.
work on the back end.
Yeah. So, okay, now we're just jumping right into the next topic, which is the publishing part. So,
Mm.
so you were querying, and were you querying for an agent, or did you go straight to the publishing houses and then they would pretty much, accept or reject, and then if they accepted you, or because they accepted you, they said, okay, we're going to assign an editor to your project.
Yeah. Um, Again, this also might not be helpful for your listeners, but I feel like I did my querying process really recklessly and impulsively.
Hmm.
I was querying agents and publishers at the same exact time.
Uh-huh.
And um getting rejections left and right, and I still have a email folder full of them just to remember where I came from.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I did one of those um, Twitter pitch things where,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
in a day, those were so much fun back in the day,
Mhm.
and got hit up by Harlequin, um, Karina Press, and they liked it, and they started the process of, like, getting the ball rolling to start talking about a deal memo.
Mhm.
I swear to you, at the same exact time, my now agent swings in and she's like, "I wanna work with you." And I was like, "Awesome. So, by the way, I'm in the middle of this thing with Harlequin." And she was like, "That's great, but don't ever do that." She was like, You're in it now, and I'll obviously look over the paperwork and let you know, like, what's what and what you should accept and what you should decline and what I'm
Mhm.
willing to do for you. And, I will be advocating for you, but, like, don't ever say yes to some deal memo before you get, you know, the go ahead from somebody who clearly knows better than you. And she clearly knew better than me, but I was so excited. Like, somebody likes my
For sure.
work. But it all worked out fine. It's just that those things happen, like, at the same time, and
Mhm.
yeah, it would be nice if I had gotten an agent, like, before and she could have done some of the legwork for me, but, yeah, she does the legwork for me now. I confer to her on all things
Are you there, God?
now.
It's me, Cherish.
She was
I love
like she was legit, "Don't ever do that again."
I love it. It's funny because in the last Golden Creatives Talk interview that I had, um, Jennifer was talking to us about how she basically challenged herself to get, what was it, 100 rejections or something,
Yeah.
which pretty damn bold. I don't know. I mean, I actually like that mindset shift, which
Mhm.
is if I get 100 projections, success. Like I'm awesome. I got exactly what I set out to do. um, but by the same token, querying is work.
It is.
So reckless or not, like hats off to you for doing what you did.
I think a lot of writing and putting yourself out there is a lot of delusion, like healthy delusion, I guess. And the
Uh-huh.
whole fake it till you make it. Querying to me, and this might be different for others, but Jennifer is right. Like 100 rejections means that you're actually putting in the work.
Hmm.
Querying is, I think, a numbers game with a lot of luck.
Hmm.
And they say it only takes one. It does.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get to that one if you're just, like, sending out a couple queries a month, and I just threw it all at the wall to see what stuck. I was like,
Yeah.
"You're gonna get a letter, and you're gonna get a letter, and you're gonna get a letter," and it was a little pitch competition that actually got me in the door.
Yeah. That's really awesome. You mentioned earlier Harlequin in your
Mhm.
story, which reminded me of an earlier question that I asked you that I don't think we got to, which is why contemporary romance? You kind of alluded to it, but I want you to kind of convince me why I should start reading contemporary romance again because I'm thinking Fabio and white guys with no shirts on riding
Yeah.
horses through
I mean,
New York City.
they're still there. There's a cornucopia of shirtless dudes. I don't know if they're riding horses in the middle of New York City, but yes. Um, I don't know. I've always just been I I like a lot of different genres, but I love writing contemporary romance because I'm a firm believer that we need more love and affection in the world, and it's lovely to see that for characters who look like you and I. And yeah, I also come from like the era, the golden age of rom-com foolery,
Mhm.
like where all of the movies were running to a train and saying like, "Oh my God, I love you," and then that final kiss.
Mhm.
So, but I also, yeah, grew up watching a lot of movies where I was like, this would be better if they had a kiss. Like this
Yeah.
would be even more entertaining. And I love disaster films. That part of my bio is still accurate. But like there could be a more smooching in some of these disaster films because like the fear of the world ending should bring you closer to the ones you love or the ones
Yeah.
you should tell you love. That's
Yeah.
my idea.
I I agree. And especially, given some of the craziness and tomfoolery that's happening in the world and the things that you're reading in media, it's sort of like there should be more smooching. Like
Yeah.
ish is getting serious and crazy, And like that's a that is like the perfect environment for chemistry.
Yes, but also romance, I have found through reading my peers and writing it myself, romance does allow for a lot of serious issues to be filtered through something
Yeah,
that is quote unquote fluffy. So, I
yeah,
mean, like, there's plenty of people who can write about politics and socioeconomics and race, a lot of things that are plaguing us, but they can still put it in a romance story
yeah.
and still accomplish a couple of things at once. Like, I wrote a book about a woman in her 30s who was still adjuncting, um, and wasn't making any money, and
Hmm.
she had a, you know, a an illness, a chronic illness that she needs to pay for, like the rest of America,
Hmm.
and her idea was to work at a bar, and then she falls in love with bar owner.
Hmm.
But it still gets at the heart of, like, academia and what we consider a prestigious, calling is still deeply mired in, like,
Yeah,
capitalist politics of, like, whose labor matters. Like, if you're not tenured, do you actually matter? And do we have to
right.
pay for your health care? They don't.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to address that as somebody who has the luxury of being an adjunct and married to a full-time tenured professor.
Hmm. And I think also living in a country that does have a social system that includes healthcare, et
Right.
cetera. Whole other
Exactly.
conversation. Loved your response to that question. And I think I am convinced to consider reading some contemporary romance.
Do it.
Um, yeah. And it actually segues again perfectly into my next question. You were talking about, so we talked about Harlequin. We've mentioned Fabio and the shirtless men on the covers, um, and the publishing industry.
Mm,
Now, clearly, you don't look like a lot of the authors that get a lot of attention on bookstore shelves, etc.
mm.
And so I think I want to ask you first about your experience in the traditional publishing world as a Black author writing romance. And I think this was going to segue us into the Jewel Me Twice conversation as well. So,
Yeah. Um, my experience has been okay. I don't know if that I think about it over the years and I'm like, I'm really lucky that people have taken a chance on me and offered me contracts. But at the same time, there are, if you want to call them like microaggressions that have happened in the editorial process that have made me sit back and go, oh, okay. So the progressive industry that I thought I was getting into, there's still pushback or there's still reticence about things that I want to represent myself as. Like, I want my
mhm,
characters to represent, you know, black and brown characters. Um, yeah, I've had awkward conversations about things that I've written, requests that I've made, stuff that I wanted like visually covers to look like. And that echoes a lot of what other Black authors have experienced in the traditional publishing. You have to like fight against sales and marketing who
mhm,
have their idea of what they think sells. And so you as a Black or brown person, a writer, you you're trying to get a seat at this table only to find out like, no, we have our idea, and what our idea is like
not yours.
less black people on the cover to make
Right.
you more mainstream or whatever.
Mhm,
Whatever the thing is. And obviously, when I hear things like this or experience them, that's what my agent is for. She does the arguing for me, and she's a
Okay.
bulldog for all of her clients. Like, she'll say, "I don't like the way that sounds." Like, write a strongly worded letter to them. So, I mean, I don't have to necessarily be a part of these conversations. I take the drama to her and say, could you please help me out? But it does make you feel like, okay, God, I still have to like fight these unnecessary, stupid battles, like in
Mhm.
a position where it's like teaching in the
Mhm.
university system. You think like, oh, this is a bastion of liberal ideals. It's not. It's
Mhm.
an industry, and an industry built on like them making money off of you. So like, never get it twisted. Their first and last concern is their bottom line.
Yeah. And how you serve that. Um, okay. So I think we've edged into the conversation about Jewel Me Twice,
Yeah,
which, by the way, I haven't finished reading it. I've only just started, so shame on me. However,
that's all right.
um, the cover. The cover has a white man and a black woman. They
Mhm.
occupy sort of the same amount of design space on the cover. So, which is, I'm quite sure it was intentional. It was definitely what drew me to the book, where I was like, "Oh, this is a constellation that I recognize,"
Mhm.
and it did make me think twice about why I haven't read contemporary romance for a long time, because a lot of times I felt like back in the day, and mind you, we're talking like 30 years ago, back in the day when
Sure.
I would read that stuff, it was, you know, white, 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 which is wonderful and fine, but it didn't really feel like I could place myself um,
Yeah.
in those situations where I could kind of see myself be, entering those worlds. And so let's talk about Joel Me Twice, because I feel like it's quite a bold move. In my opinion, there don't seem to be that many uh, contemporary romance novels that proudly display black, a black main character and a white love interest, or
Mhm.
vice versa. And so, talk about that, because it seems to be successful for you. Um,
Yeah. Well, I didn't initially get into contemporary knowing that like I would be writing a lot of interracial romances. I'm married to a white dude, so I guess like that's you write what you know.
mhm,
And but I've also written uh a Latino love interest, Puerto Rican.
mhm,
I've written a black love interest a couple of times. All of my men are more or less the same kind of archetype of like cinnamon roll, like very
mhm,
nice and very kind, and it's just a reflection of what I enjoy.
mhm,
And sometimes they're different races, but the majority of my writing is interracial with a white love interest. There are so many of us out there. Like the interracial romance space is saturated. So like you got you said you're new to
mhm.
the contemporary space.
True confession.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We're out there. There's plenty to be had. I will give you recommendations after this. We out here. Um, black love, black quote unquote black love, where there's two, the hero or heroine, they're both black. That is also like a space that I think isn't talked about quite as much.
Mhm,
Um, and there's been a lot of discussion and debate about that. Like in the contemporary romance scene, the interracial couples do make a lot more money, do get a lot more press, do more mainstream, like, hurrah, look at them.
Mhm.
Probably because there is a white love interest that readers everywhere can relate to. Um, Now we're trying to work on, like, where the unambiguously both of them are Black couples,
Mhm.
that romance, like, how do we make that bigger? How do we make that more mainstream? And I hate the
Yeah.
word mainstream, but, like, how do all audiences find themselves in it,
Right.
in that type of love story? But this is, I'm pointing at books behind me that you can't see, but, Jill Me Twice, as you said, has a very intentional cover. They're both, let me just get it,
Yeah, sure.
without knocking things over. Ignore the tiara.
I have a tiara too, but mine's way over there. Love it. Yes. Yes.
So very intentional. I wanted kind of a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of vibe. Um, but I wanted them to be equals. They're both master jewel thieves. They
Mhm.
both have beef with one another over some old grudge that they need to bury the hatchet on. They're both very talented professionals and working very hard in their own right. I wanted the gulf between them to be the title of the book and them kind of staring each other down like, "Oh, I hate you."
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that was a really fun book to write. It was my first stab at writing a heist.
Well, I can't wait because I actually love action movies. Actually, I have to say, I love action movies and I like spy novels. Um,
Yeah, same.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't know why I can't seem to like get into action books. Maybe because there's just so much going on that it's like too much for my brain to process through words on a page. But
That
I
could be it, yeah.
digress. I
No worries.
digress. Yeah, no, actually, I have to say the first time where I really was excited about um, the interracial conversation being broached was through this television show that came out in the early, I don't know, 2012, 2011,
Mhm.
Scandal.
Yeah,
um, right? Olivia Pope and the president of the United States. Like
yeah.
that's the ultimate, well, scandalous situation, right? So that was, I think that I really appreciated how Shonda Rhimes,
Mm,
handles stories with
mm,
numerous racial identities as well. I mean, Grey's Anatomy as well. Like the stars of the show are not your classic, wasps. It kind of covers like everything.
yeah.
So yeah, she definitely, I think, broke ground in a big way. I'm
Mm.
sure that there are writers and authors who've been doing it for much longer, but unfortunately,
But
I don't.
her success was just meteoric, and
Yes, it
I
was.
think that's not unusual for you to think like, "Oh, yeah, that is a huge example."
Mhm.
She's incredible.
Yeah,
She's a whole entire industry unto herself, so,
yeah.
and that including the Bridgerton series that she's
Yes,
adapted as well, so
yes, yes. Which I love. Different pace though, not quite the heist.
no, no. Slow, historical, and steamy in its own right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the word steam, which brings us to the next topic, which is your book that you just released earlier this week. Tell us all about
Yeah.
it.
It's called Read Me Slow, and I can at least show you on the iPad what the cover looks like. I don't have author copies yet.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell us what it's about. The cover is suggesting something podcasty.
Yeah. One booth, two voices, no boundaries. Dum dum dum. It is the I've been writing a lot this year, and also this year has been quite humbling, I think, as I told you off screen. Burnout, a lot of like, what am I doing? Where am I going? I have more than one draft of something open at a time. Kind of figuring out, like you said, trying to figure
Story of
out.
a writer's life.
I've got three separate projects that I'm like doing very little with. This was the only book that I was like, I can actually stick with this, and I could probably release it um, this year, and I will have at least something for the year of 2025 for readers to remember, like, oh, Cherish Reid exists. And that's something you worry about as like a writer. If I don't have anything coming out this year, will anybody remember that I exist? It's
Who am
silly.
I?
Um,
If a book drops in the middle of a forest, is anybody around to hear it?
exactly. Who am I? I had an existential crisis this year, and this is the only project that survived my like, what am I doing with my life? Um, all of that is to say it's about a writer who is properly burned out and working very quickly on a deadline for her own book release, for a super steamy romance novel that she is self-publishing. She's a pretty successful indie writer, so all of her stuff is self-published. Um, and she's feeling good about like a month out from release when her narrators, a married couple, email her and say, "Sorry, but we cannot work on this book in good faith. Chris and I are no longer working together professionally or personally." And this is a married couple. I didn't get into it, but I think that they're breaking up. And so they send her a refund and an apology, and she is screwed. It's a month till her release. She tries to release all of her audiobooks same day as the title comes out, and
Mhm.
she's a workhorse, perfectionist who makes sure that everything is like da 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 da. Unlike me, I'm just like winging it. Um, her assistant says, "Oh my god, I think I found the voice for you," and she's like, "What? Who? Where? How do I get them?" Plays the first plays a clip of a podcast, a horror podcast of like this just sultry, gravelly voice talking about the devil is near and like he's breathing down your neck and stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh my God, who is this voice?" And she's like, "His name is Theo Ward, and they call him Scare Daddy. And I've already emailed him. Hopefully, he'll get back to us." And she is hit with a ton of bricks. She knows Teddy Ward. She
Mm,
knows him as Teddy Ward, not Theo,
mhm.
because that's her little brother's best friend,
Oh,
who's 15 years younger than her, and he's just that straggly, nerdy kid who was always hanging out around the house that her parents kept feeding. And now he's talking about like, oh, the devil is coming. And guess what? He gets her email and he's like, "Yes, yes, I can work on this book because I'm secretly in love with you."
oh,
And boom, that's the book.
that's the book. I love it. I love it. I was gonna ask you to read a passage, but I think it's a little bit too steamy for.
It is and it isn't. I can't read anything from this because it just came out on Tuesday. I typically don't reread my books until like maybe a few months have passed. I'm done with them. I just want them out of my head, out of my office, into the world, and then later I will come back and be like, "Hey, are you as good as I thought you were?"
Mhm.
Um, and also, I didn't have a passage picked out today, so it'd just be me thumbing around like, "Oh god, what's good enough without sounding completely unhinged?"
Totally, totally, I get it. I do appreciate one of the things that you're saying because I think you said you're self-publishing this book, right?
Yeah, I'm a hybrid writer. Yeah.
Oh, so why did you decide to go indie with this one versus, continuing down the traditional publishing road?
This is my 4th,
Mhm.
yeah, my 4th indie. Um, and I've only had 4, I'm just checking, 5 5, releases that were traditional. Um,
Just, just.
2
I only have 9 books, she says.
I'm sorry. Sorry, this is my 5th indie release, and I have 5, traditionally published. So, um and then one of them I count anyway, even though it's an anthology, but, like,
Oh, uh-huh.
I'm friends with the editor, so I think it counts. But, um, publishing moves so slow between signing contracts, between getting your book lined up in your editor's schedule of things, um, approving options for you to write another book, just the achingly slow pace of each editorial process between developmental copy, line copy, proofing. It's just like a
Redlining.
lot of hurry up to wait. And
Mhm.
I am one of those people who's like, but they might forget about me between books. And also, there's control. Like, you
Mhm.
want to be in control of certain aspects, and you don't want to wait on anyone. Like, I don't want to wait on my agent to try to sell a particular book when I
Mhm.
know that it's small and contained enough for me to try it myself. And if I screw it up, then I screw it up. But like, I'll do it on my own terms.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I've published a tiny little novella because like that's what I wanted to write for
Right.
the spooky season. I did a duology because again, spooky season. I have a real obsession with horror. Um, but yeah, I want to be in control. I want to
Yeah.
make editorial decisions. I want to make cover decisions. Like all of my covers I've done myself. And again, it's that, well, if I screw it up, if it ends up messy, then I know I'm responsible for it and I can fix it myself. I don't have to go
Mhm.
through all of these channels. It's
Mhm.
it's great both ways. Both ways have their own um, limitations.
Advantages, yeah, and
Yeah,
limitations. Yeah.
yeah. Because when you're doing all of these books indie, you have all the jobs now. You are now the master marketer. You are sales. You are the editor. Sometimes, obviously, you need to try to hire out an editor.
Mhm.
Uh, you're the you're the book cover designer. You do all of that. You
Mhm.
upload. It's just so much stuff, but it is rewarding. People just need to know that it's work.
It's work.
Yeah,
Yes, it is. Actually, that could have been the title of this show.
it's
It's
work.
work.
It's
It's work.
unsung labor. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, when you think about it, like so much labor is unsung, like the same would go for being an adjunct professor. Like there's
Mhm.
so much that happens beyond just the teaching or beyond just the semester. even people are like, oh, they've got like so much vacation time and all of the holidays. And it's like, no, not really. Like that,
Are we getting paid for that?
we're not getting paid for it. And yet we're still, like preparing the curriculum, still always kind of like on the hunt for new materials to keep
Yeah,
students engaged, etc. Like it's unsung work. It's work.
it's work.
In conclusion, romance, it's work.
That works. I love it.
Okay, so you got 10 books, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Where can readers find all your books?
Um,
Or where do you
let's
want people to
see.
find your books? Do you want them to go to, where do you want them
I
to
mean,
go
you can
else?
go anywhere, like anywhere your heart desires. You will be able to find me on cherishreid.com. There's
Mhm.
only one of me, I'm sure, I think.
Got
Um,
it.
cherishreid.com has all of the links and things that because some of the books are on KU and that's just on Amazon, but other books have a wider reach. Um, but yeah, everything is there, and I'm on Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram being irreverent and tired and I don't know, thinking that I'm funnier than I am. So, I mean, there I am saying dumb shit.
Yeah, I know that I am corny AF. I am so bad at delivering a joke.
Yeah.
Like I work with a lot of other writers, and sometimes they're like, humor, it's really important. It can really, connect. And I'm like, don't ask me to do that because I'm really here for the laughs, but I'm not here to deliver the laughs. Like,
Yeah.
don't ask me to punchline. I will freeze. I
Yeah.
will I
Don't
will mess it up.
know your limitations and be okay
Okay.
with them.
Definitely, I am not the person. So I will probably never write any any stories about a comedian because then it's like, oh, you might have to actually be able to deliver a punchline.
I would say never because comedians are like historically dark people. Like if you
Mhm.
wanted to write a story about a comedian, it could get really dark.
It could.
These are these are people whose profession is like they are empty inside seeking your laughter, and that
Mm,
type of labor in itself can be like heartbreaking.
that does sound heartbreaking. It sounds like you're tapping into a potential story right
No.
there.
Well, no, it could be yours. I'm giving it to you for
No.
free.
Okay, okay. I'll take it and see if it can fill a drawer with the rest of my drawers that have abandoned manuscripts.
Always put things in a drawer. You never know what you might go back to.
It's true. I was asking you earlier in this conversation about your process.
Mm.
And I think I want to go back to that really quickly because you are so prolific. Is there something that you do? Well, do you have any tips or tricks to keep at it? I have some of my own, but
Yeah,
what are
I might
yours?
need to
And
hear them, actually. I
I,
might
well,
need to hear yours.
I'll give you an example. I have all
Yeah.
sorts, but one example is if I am struggling with something to the point where I can't seem to move forward, like
Mhm.
with the book that I'm just about to release this month. Um, there was a chapter. It was actually about hair. It's a memoir, so um, it was about hair, and for
Mhm.
whatever reason, I could not write my hair journey. It was
Mm.
like it just felt like too much. It sounds so trivial saying it out loud, but it felt like too much, and I couldn't start. I would maybe like try. I would try to do that exercise, like write whatever I could write, and I've got 30 minutes, and la 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 la, just type
Yeah.
things down, right? Nothing would come. It would be like a lost 30 minutes. It was
Mm,
very disheartening, and it kept me from kind of moving to the next parts of the book. It was like I
mm,
had to break through that wall to get to the other side of my book.
yeah.
And and so I finally was like, I can't type this. I'm gonna have to write this. So I went analog. I was like, I
Oh.
think my problem is this medium, that this is too intimate a topic for me to kind of just let my fingers do the tapping. I really had to have that visceral contact. I even chose the right pen, and sometimes
You
I write
have
with
to.
pencil because some, like, I couldn't use a ballpoint, is basically what I'm saying. Because
Mm,
ballpoint, the contact is a little bit different with the page than, say, a pencil, which has that scratchy sort of, and this felt tip pen, which is a bit more, it's flowy, but it's not like a fountain. Anyway, the whole
yeah.
point being that I had to kind of engage with the page in a different way. And
You
there
had
I
to
did that.
put your body into it,
Yeah.
into something that was forcing you to be vulnerable with yourself and really dig at something. Like,
Yeah.
as you said, it needed to be visceral.
Yeah.
I like that.
So sometimes
Oh.
I have to like completely change, take myself out of my routine, you
Mhm.
know, not be comfortable. So, my next step, if that wasn't going to work, it would have been to like take my pad and paper away from my desk, away from my house,
Mm.
go into the forest somewhere, hopefully on a nice day,
Not forest.
Yeah,
Okay. I think that is really good advice because it is what you're essentially saying is you're just breaking a loop. You're breaking this automatic cycle of like do. Psychologically,
yeah,
something having to do with this hair chapter is just like got you frozen,
yeah,
and the ordinary loop that you automatically do is not working. You need to take yourself away from this and physically put yourself back in your body, perhaps. And I like the idea of you using a pencil to kind of, I just got chills, like scratch it in.
yeah.
That, like you're carving something, um, which can be erased, of course, but like there's
Mhm.
an act and feeling and a sound that is associated with just like scratching down whatever it is that is weighing on you. Um, to your point about going to the woods, which, oh my God, I would never do. The woods? I'm an indoor cat.
However, um, I live outside of a large town in Switzerland. So I literally live in farmland. I had some
Live
friends
in the woods.
visiting from, yeah, so the woods are like right outside my window on one side. There's a river on the other side, just, like, I don't know, 400 yards away. Anyway, I had some friends visiting over last week, and we took a walk along the river, and then we passed by a farm, like a bona fide farm with cows and goats and horses and
That is
muck,
bucolic.
and totally, totally. And I said, you know what? This is the city girls' farmland. Like,
Hmm,
the because the path along the way is paved, it's a
okay.
lot. So like I could, if I needed to or wanted to, come out here in my heels, never get dirty. Like, I can do this. And then I can be like on the train into town in 20 minutes. Like,
Okay.
this is a city
Alright.
girl's farmland. So I do feel you when you say that you're an indoor cat. Like, so am I.
Yeah.
That it's desperate if I have to like go into the woods to scratch something on a notepad because like I freaking can't get the words right. Like
You have to
it's that
turn
kind of
into a feral wild woman out in the woods. I love
or
it.
it's like I'm writing to get me out of here. Like
But I like the idea of just breaking the
takes.
cycle.
Yeah.
Breaking the cycle, and I've had to learn that over the course of a few books too, like, this
Mhm.
idea of, like, forcing yourself to do it has
Yeah.
never worked for me.
Yeah.
Um, Forcing makes you write several chapters that did not need to be written.
No.
Um, so the stepping away from it, going somewhere, whether it be the woods or a bookstore or the library or whatever, I think that's always a good idea. I think my mistake was taking somebody else's advice about write something every day.
And yes.
Um, my brain chemistry can't do that. Like, I cannot hold myself to that type of rigidity,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to be okay with that, which I think is really difficult in a very like Protestant work ethic. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the Protestant work ethic that's like early to bed, early to rise,
Mm-hmm.
work hard for the grace of the Lord sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean is what that exercise is kind of teaching me at least is like if you
Mm-hmm.
work every day, write something. I can't do that and I won't. I refuse to. And I have to be okay with it, and some other people out there, whether they're neurodiverse or what have you, they have to be okay with it too, because I have learned it's in those quiet times where you're not at the computer or at the notepad that your brain is actually repairing itself. It's distracted long enough for you to, like, look at the bubble, like, outside of the bubble that you've been forcing yourself into. This is
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, solitary
Yeah.
craft. You have
Yeah.
to do it by yourself, and then you're so wrapped up in yourself where you're just like, "Oh my god, everything relates to my book and
Mm-hmm.
me," and then you eventually have to, like, see the world outside of yourself. Read a book. Oh my god. Go back to reading.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to different people. Catch up with other people in your life. Take a shower.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of us need to take a shower. Because I know I will be sitting up here funky and like, I just need 4 more chapters. Please, God, give me 4 more chapters. Girl, take a shower. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something about shower thoughts and going on a walk thoughts that
Mm-hmm.
break some type of thing in your brain where you're not like ruminating over and
Yeah.
over and over. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Where you're not sort of chewing cud. You're
Yeah.
that you're and in fact, I have to say, and that this would be the other tip, it
Mm,
is to have a pencil and any kind of paper. There are so many times where I'll have a thought in the most inconvenient place, and then
mm.
I'll have to. And the reason why I say a pencil is because they work well on receipts in ways that
Yeah.
sometimes a ballpoint pen isn't going to work. And that, like receipts are the only kind of paper that I'll have on hand because I can't carry around a notepad. So, and I'll be like, try to remember. And
That,
even if it's illegible, just the act of writing it has already imprinted that idea in my mind.
yeah.
And so just having the knowledge that I have a way of recording that information is also super
Yeah.
helpful. And the ideas come at the most inconvenient of times, like the
They
most.
do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. And and I need to be better at like actually putting pen to paper because I think you're right. There's something about the physical act. I think we learned that as students when we were taking notes in class or
Hmm.
like taking there's something different about being able to type something versus you scrawling it with your own
Hmm.
hand. I don't know what it is. I'm not a neuroscience, but uh,
I
scientist, but
I don't know the science of it, and to be honest, like I don't do it all the time. I do it when I'm desperate.
yeah, I love that.
I'm not saying like, get your favorite pen. No, it's just sort of like I have no
Yeah.
options left. Like I've tried
Yeah.
all the things. Yeah.
And I guess I guess a minor tip that I have for people is when you are writing and you have stalled out. For me, I found it's because I've written myself into a corner and I probably need to delete that entire chapter.
Mm,
Somewhere along the line, you know it in your gut that you have just hit a wall in the plot.
yeah.
And it's so painful too, once you delete a few pages or unfortunately a chapter, you don't have to delete it, but just put it off in like another file. Then you're like, "Oh, okay, now I can breathe and I can actually see where this character was supposed to take this turn instead of the other turn."
Hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta
Cherish.
delete.
And sometimes you gotta delete. um, I actually, there are so many questions. I've just taken notes and realized that we're over time. So I hope you don't
Okay.
have an important date you need to go to.
I
Um,
don't.
you don't, a writing date with yourself. Yeah.
No, I told myself I wasn't gonna write today. I don't feel like it.
Yay. Oh gosh. I need to have you on the show again. And maybe
Don't
we're
write
gonna have
today.
like, yeah, a writer's self-care talk.
Yeah, take a shower.
Taking a shower is essential. If only because you're desperate for ideas.
If only. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go to the woods and then come home and take a shower.
take a shower. Do not write in your own funk. You won't appreciate it later.
No,
Yeah,
literal
and no
and
one will thank you.
metaphorical.
Yeah, yeah, literal and metaphorical. Yeah. Oh, Cherish, I can't wait until the next time we talk again. Um,
Yes. This has been a
I'll
delight.
I've had so much fun. Like true story, this is the first time I've sort of gotten to know you and had a conversation with you, and I feel like you're my long lost sister. Um,
Ah,
so yeah, I do look forward to having you on Golden Creatives Talk sometime soon. And with that, I will wish you adieu. But before I do, are there any closing words that you have for our listeners today, besides all the gems that you dropped? Is there
oh my
one last
God.
thing?
Gems, thank you. Um, I think I want to reiterate that 2025 has been, I don't know, maybe the last 5 years have been challenging, honestly. But this one felt the most for me, and I know a lot of people are out there feeling it, and they're also trying to create at the same time. They're also trying to like bring a story into the world when the world is crumbling around them. So, this is hard. I want everybody to know that they're doing their absolute best by surviving and thriving. Both both have to be done.
Mhm,
And whatever you can get on paper today, great. And if you can't get it on paper tomorrow, okay, great. You'll come back because if writing is really what you're meant to do, she's going to be okay if you haven't talked to her in a while. That's what kind
mhm.
of friends you are. Um, so be easy on yourself. That's all I
Cherish,
got.
you're definitely going to be here for our self care episodes. So,
Okay.
I'm keeping you in my Rolodex. Okay,
Oh,
that is all for today's episode of Golden Creatives Talk with Charish Reid, where you can find her at cherishreid.com. That's REID.com. And you can find out more about me and the podcast at brownbeyondborders.substack.com. And join us next time for more inspiring conversations with Black and Brown creatives. Ciao for now.
Bye.